Good morning. Once again, here we are with issues at hand here on Church of Uganda Family TV. Edwin Austin Mukalazi is my name once again, and today we are looking at something that is very pertinent. We are looking at the rising numbers of street children in Kampala, but it is even broader than this. That there was a time, especially sometime last year, where street children had totally disappeared and you could hardly find anyone on the streets. But now, increasingly, they are coming back. So where had they gone? What happened? What went wrong? Why are they coming back now? Are they the same children? Is this a new wave of children? We want to understand how these children even end up on streets. But also, there are very many other things that we want to look at, especially when it gets to child labor, because you realize even these street children have managers. So while you give them that money, there is someone else who is coming to pick that money, to collect that money that they have received from you who has given them. But also there is something that I personally don't like, where a child is sick, maybe they're in a wheelchair, and then a parent is using this opportunity to get money from people in the name of soliciting money for medication. Yet, and you'll see the same person having the same narrative over and over and over. And then there are also these others who can't walk. Maybe they are crawling, but with a cup and a few coins. And there is a lot that is really happening in Kampala. So the dynamics have really changed. But we want to look at how we can address these to have a better city. With us is Mrs. Tumwebaze Eunice. She's the manager, gender, youth, and children at KCCA. She was here, actually. Yeah. Mrs. Eunice, good morning. Before I report her case.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
And good morning, listeners, the viewers of Family TV. Thank you so much for allowing me to come back to this station to talk about the issues of children.
Indeed, we are delighted to have you. Before, I remember we had you before NAM, and you promised us that street children will be history. And indeed, that entire period, I think the whole of last year, street children were nowhere to be seen on any of the streets in Kampala. But now, the narrative has changed. So probably you've come back at the right time.
It's interesting. Thank you so much for hosting me and for allowing KCCA to come and talk about issues of children. Indeed, before now, we came and talked about children. That time the children were so many on the street. Many. And even the head of this country said, why are children on the street and still doing certain things? They were abusing the community. When they would beg and you don't give them the money they want, they would actually take whatever they used to get the people, they would just cash it on you or urine, whatever. So at that time there was a very great concern. But you asked me, how do they come? These children are of different categories. There are those that are known that come from a few sub-counties in Napak district. The children you see on the street are not all from Karamoja, the greater Karamoja region. They come from Napak district, but also from a few sub-counties, meaning they are known. And how do they trek from
Napak to here?
From Napak to here. We have people who are trafficking them. I no longer want to call them just people, but they are traffickers. But because they go to the village, now we have people here who receive them. We have people who transport them on the way from Napak, but we have people who identify them from Napak. They go and convince their parents that, you see, I'll take your child, and every month I'll be giving you 50,000. Now, 50,000 to a person in Karamoja, and maybe the greater Karamoja region, they look at that note as a very big no, because it's
it can do a lot.
Doing a lot of taking a lot of action and whatever they take, their local group. So they will easily allow. So when those children reach here, when they are there, they promise them that I'll be giving you this money, but I'll also take your child to school. Some have been deceived like that. Others tell them that I'm going to look after your child, so give me, but I'll be giving you 50,000 per month. So they are helped to track from Napak to here. When they sense that there's a place where they are policemen looking for them, they will even get out and even walk with them in the bushes until they reach here. There are buses that bring them, and those buses arrive between midnight and 2. Me and you, midnight and 2.
We are asleep.
But we want to do a special operation, like I promised the other
yes.
Even this time we are going to do it. So when they arrive, then there's someone who receives them and takes them to the shelters where they stay. Now, when they reach here, they are trained.
There's even a training.
To manage the street life. Some have metals. When you just get her or him without being protected, they can easily pierce you. They are taught to run properly. They are taught whom to run away from. They are taught many things. So a lot happens in their environment. So those are those from Kampala. And the people who bring them, they make a lot of money. So that's why you're saying they had disappeared. Why have they come back? When they are on the street, they are told and instructed to make a minimum of 20,000 a day.
Each. So 20,000, if one has 50 children, times 20,000 minimum, that's $1 million. Yes.
Times, let me say, 26 days a month, because they don't work on Sunday. Sunday is for their meetings, is for conflict resolution, is for, that's how they do their work. So if they've worked for 26 days, someone will have his 26 million.
Yes.
Clean. And if he feeds them very well, he can use $1 million to feed 10 what? 50
children.
Bathing, they bathe once in a while. So you'll find that someone has paid off rent, bathed the children, fed them, and yes, is clean 24 million. I want to find out, you who works here, can you make that in a month? That's why the trade is coming back. But I want to thank the district of Napak. That time when we rescued many children and parents, close to 1,025 children and adults. 1,000, yes, 1,000. That time when we rescued in January of now.
Yes.
And we were able to prosecute the adults who are traffickers. Some are still moving on with police. Some who are found to just be also used were committed, the adults were committed to community service. But they also went to Risira. That period was very busy. Unlike other time when we just rescue and take to Karamata, this time we had to go all the way. And that's what we've committed ourselves to do.
There was a time we were told that they will be taken to, I think, Kampala for skilling. But reports also came that they escaped from Kampala back to the streets.
They can't go to Kampala. Even where we took them in Masurita, they also children's village. They also, some escaped from there. And remember that village is guarded by the security military, by the way. But even then they escaped. So you cannot just say that you take them to a place and they will stay there. without escaping. Because they've been trained. And wherever they go, whether when you're in Uganda, deep, they will come back. So by this time, we want to thank NAPAC. One, we want to thank Oweso Village because it was able to provide us space for that 1,000 people. It was a unique situation. There were many children, many adults, you know, for a very long time, like for 3 months, when we were going to court, going to Rusida, assessing and, you know, getting to know who is who and what we can do. So, Weso helped us, and we were able to assess and do the first rehabilitation. Then afterwards, we took the balance of the rest of the children who was school age. We took them back to NAPAC. That's why I want to thank the district of NAPAC, because they sat in their council and said that they no longer want children from NAPAC on the streets of Kampala. And after resolving, they looked for 5 schools and said that children who will be rescued from Kampala will be placed in the 5 schools, kept there for a period of 3 years, so that they are rehabilitated, they are counseled, their parents are counseled, so that at the end of the day, they do what? By the end of the 3rd year, they are somewhat desensitized from the issues of street life. And maybe they are now into the school life and they can concentrate. So and I want to report that about 300 children who are taken to NAPAC at that time, they have stayed in school and they are still studying. That's why you saw the whole of last year, children were not on the street. But they are now back. Some remained in Masulita and they are supposed to also be taken because the majority of them are now in school age. So the person who is to get the 24 million on a monthly basis has now devised more ways of bringing back more children. What I've heard, what I'm yet to confirm, that they bring them in taxis, in vans, and pour on the street. Yes. And you know, nowadays they move because we worked with the people in Katwe to sort of destroy the shelters that were
in the base zone.
In the base zone. So now they have shifted. I'm yet to know exactly by the time they are now in one of the shelters in Ntinda, and then others move every day from Jinja. They are brought here and then taken back in the evening. That's what I've heard. Those are the news. I'm now reading my secrets. That's what I've heard. I'm following up. Then also to mention that a rescue will take place soon. That is for those who have been trafficked from NAPAC and brought on the campus streets to beg. There are those who have been trafficked, again I call it trafficking, brought from Bushenyi, from Tsoro, from Mbari, to come and sell sponges, to come and sell groundnuts, to come and sell
eggs and yellow bananas.
Eggs, yellow bananas. Those children suffer. Government of Uganda has developed legal frameworks that guide all of us to protect children from any kind of abuse, any kind of exploitation, any kind of, of losing their rights. The children are supposed to enjoy their rights of going to school, of good health, of accessing all the basic needs that they need. Because they are the leaders of our Uganda tomorrow. So if we don't give them that opportunity to study, if we don't give them the opportunity to get good health, if we don't provide them real shelter, feeding, and we expose them to the harsh environment of going looking for who to buy the eggs, deep in the night, they are pierced, they are sexually abused. we are doing a disservice to Ugandans. So also those ones we are following them up. We know some sports. Some children have come and reported. We have one who just came and said, Madam, I no longer want to do this type of business. If I can get some, just transport to take me back to my home. And he was in tears. He just left the eggs. We got him. We said, do you know where you come from? Of course, we could not let him go alone. He was a child. So we handed him over to police to process. But a lot is happening. Yeah. When you go to babies' homes, last week we're in babies' homes. Women are becoming pregnant for 9 months. They dump babies. Babies' homes are full. You cannot say that let's rescue and take these babies' homes or children. The children's homes are full. When you go to children's homes, they are full. Girls of very small age have been sexually abused. There is a lot of pain in the community. I don't know. You said parenting. Parents, what happened to us? Why can't we take charge of our responsibility? Why can't you wait? If you cannot have a child, why can't you wait?
As we get into parenting, there is also something that is disturbing, especially with I think most of those that are trafficked from Napak. You find a little girl carrying a baby, or you find someone of age carrying maybe twins, but carrying children. Where do they get these children from? Who owns these children? Are the children also part of the group that is trafficked? The babies, I mean, that is trafficked. All, I mean, where do they get them from?
You know, Ugandans are Africans, and we feel more pity, or we are drawn.
Yes.
To a much younger baby if they are in a bad situation. So there are women down there in Katwe and wherever they are staying at the moment who produce their babies, and it's now like a job, because they produce their baby. When they become pregnant, they work for 9 months, then they go to Napak, stay there for 3 months. After producing, then they come down. By the 6th month, by the time they come down, they are almost pregnant. Yeah. So then they begin to hire out their babies. Because when they hire out the baby and you see that baby, you feel pity and you give more money. Some are giving 50,000. But remember, KCCA developed the Kampala Capital City Child Protection Ordinance that bars all of us from giving anything to a child that you find unaccompanied on the street. So if I find you, I'll fine you. I will arrest you, take you to court, and you're fined. If you're not fined, you can be fined or taken to Rosida and you serve 6 months. It depends, yes. If you're a repeat person who is giving out those things.
I think that is one of
then they keep them on the street.
Yes.
That's what they are looking for.
Yes.
So those babies you see are hired. Even the ones you see carried by old people. It's not a must that is their baby. They've also hired them. And every day is 15,000. And that baby can fetch you more than 100,000. And that is money. You're working.
Oh God, we are taking a short commercial break, but when we return, we are going to continue with this discussion, especially asking asking the big question: what happened to parents? You give in your baby to go through, to be subjected to the harsh street environment for a pay. Wow. Let's rest a bit. We are coming back.
Issues at hand. Issues at hand.
Welcome back from that commercial break. This is Issues at Hand here on Church of Uganda Family TV. It's quite a cold morning, but also very, very important. I know some of us are still watching from our homes, or you're watching on are you watching from your phone? Yeah, on social media, on YouTube, on our website, on our app. Yeah, wherever you're watching us from, it's important that you take this message so that you do not fall a prey. Now, talking about, there's something you had talked about when you asked parents. Now, the question is, what happened that a parent can even hire their baby and then they bring back the baby in the night and then you give them again in the morning, or someone comes and tells you, I'm taking your child, and they give you some money. It's like when people are getting maids, they tell them, no, you'll give the parent 30,000, and then when this child works, they send the money to the parent, not even the child who is working. And I mean, what really went wrong?
I don't know what went wrong. I don't know. I think it's an issue of, I can call it gluttony, or people no longer value each other, and they are only looking at this small paper called money. So they will do anything. I would equate them to those people who even kill to get money. Why would you finish someone's life
For money.
for just money? A paper. And yet that paper, you're going to do what? You're going to buy a drink, and then it will come out as urine soon. So people have lost their mind, and all they are looking at is money. And they are willing to do anything to get money. So that's why they will carry babies for 9 months, produce them, and then take them on the street. They carry the baby for just one aim, not to look after that child, not to look after their well-being, not to see them develop into responsible citizens, but just to make for them money of today. Just today. They don't care about tomorrow. So it's a bad thing, and that's why a lot has happened. There's a lot of violence in our community. A lot. When they are carrying that baby, actually they are not just carrying the baby to be warm or be protected.
Yes.
They are also piercing the baby to cry. They are also making sure that the baby is uncomfortable, so that you will see the tears and then give more money. So a lot is happening, but those ones we are going to run them up soon.
Okay.
You know me when I promised.
Yeah, indeed.
There were things that were happening in my office and around. Can you imagine, after the successful rescue that we carried out last year, someone comes and tells one of our leaders and partners and says, we are forcing children to go to school. Can you imagine? Does that person like Uganda?
No.
Does he have Uganda at heart?
No.
So actually we have led to rescue because someone has spread that propaganda and said we are forcing children in a park off Kampala streets and forcing them to join school. Remember, joining school, you study once. And someone has also said that education is the equalizer. Recently, I was listening to some boy from Bugamba. He got 19 points in BCM. I knew someone in Ubudo who got all O's and some C somewhere doing the same course. So with education, whether you're born in a very poor environment, where parents are not able, but somehow they support you, you can become that star that you're supposed to be. And you can contribute better to your family, to your community, even to yourself and the country at large when you are educated, because you have better knowledge, you have better skill, you're better in many things than begging today and you give your parents how much money. Will not make 100 million.
Exactly.
And then, at a certain age, you can no longer beg because you're no longer a baby, you're no longer a child. So, what is happening? There's a lot of violence.
What happens? What about this other category of the street children? Besides these ones that beg, now these other ones are around the Natural Channel. Those ones that sleep under that drainage system. I wonder what happens to them when it rains because
they look for where to hide. Those ones have come to that channel because of, again, several reasons. They are running out from their homes because of violence. Mommy and daddy are fighting. And the child's mind cannot perceive violence. So what the child does says, these people are over fighting, they're over quarreling, and from quarreling they come to me and call me names. I better go and try.
Or they even beat me up.
Yes, when you're angry, you can do anything. You can beat the cops. So they come. And when they reach here, there are already people on the street called street uncles. They bring them and they initiate them through street life. When your child gets lost and you wait for even 2 days, you find when your child has changed. So when a child disappears, you should just run very fast and look for him or her. Because when they arrive on the street, they'll be welcomed, they'll be initiated by street uncles and aunties, and they will begin life. It is very sad because some have come like that and have later joined street gangs. We know them, there are many. And they learn a lot and do a lot. They rape, they steal, they also kill. I've interacted with some who will just tell you, killing you auntie is not very hard. And you're talking to someone who's like 7 years. And you say, what do you mean? I'll just touch one place, now I know what to touch. And I'll kill you and no one will know that I've killed you. That's what happens. So, violence. People quarrel in front of each other. And why do they quarrel? Maybe someone used the money that was not his. They quarrel because someone did not disclose where he was going or where he was coming from. Why do they quarrel? Because maybe it is Christmas and they have not bought them clothes. Why do they quarrel? They quarrel for just petty things. And yet, if they waited, maybe that anger would cool down. And then you may find better things, I've talked about than just quarreling. So they quarrel for many reasons, and many times they are petty and they can be handled. People don't know how to manage their anger. The other bit, children are being born and they don't want to disclose who their fathers are. So a child is born in a certain family and the people around are saying, you don't belong to that home. And they say it every day, and before they know it, this child says, since I don't belong here, and mommy does not want to tell me who my parents are, my father is, let me go to the street. So we are getting many of those. But also others are coming because of peer pressure. The other day, we were training parasocial workers, and one of them was testifying. He said, I came from my home in Masaka because my friends said that when you go to Kampala, you'll find a lot of opportunities. At 6 years, he came. When he reached, they introduced him to taking drugs. And it was interesting listening to his story. And of course, when he took drugs, then he was introduced to work. He would be given charcoal stoves to sell around the streets. And then he said, but whenever he took the drugs, he would ngavako,
Mm.
he would disappear. It was really ngavako, and then I would sleep where I have taken the drug from. And then besides my charcoal stove. Sometimes he would wake up and his charcoal stove is already stolen. And then he would go back, they would beat him. Until one day he said, why do I have to go through all this? He had to look for money and went back to his home. It was not very easy. When they saw him, his parents thought he had died. And so he had to explain, he had to go through counseling, but then they had money. So peer pressure also. So what are we supposed to do as parents?
Yes.
We need to choose to have the children we want to have. And God has given us a responsibility. We are just channels. We are blessed to have those children. I think any parent, before they produce, they should say, this is the type of child I want to. Even us who are working, we should have proper programs for the children we want to have. Not just produce and leave the children with the maid without any clear instructions, without any care, without anything. Produce the children that you're able to look after. You're able to provide for the food they need, the shelter they need, the clothing they need. Talk to your children. Guide them on the family values. What do you believe in? Are you a Christian? Are you a Muslim? What do you eat? What do you dress? How do you dress? How do you greet people? Plan. And you look at that family, that child you want to see in your old age. And protect that child. And government has given you responsibility. When you produce, you must look after this child. Protect them from all kinds of abuse. Don't abuse your children. Speak to them. Gone are the days when we thought that you had to beat your child to understand, have sense. Those days are gone. Hey, you must talk to, recently someone saying, I have a 7-year-old, and they were saying, you have to discuss with your child. How much does she know?
And I think that's where we get it wrong from.
I said she's a full human being. Even if I choose to impose my ideas on her, she will listen, but she will not do what I want her to do. So I better take her through. What does it mean? When you sleep without bathing, what happens to your body? When you eat without praying, what happens to your body, to your life? When you don't eat and finish your food, what happens? You begin like that, small things. When you don't do your homework, when you've been given homework, what happens? So we have to learn to dialogue. We need to learn to know how to guide our children. Even while you say this child is very stubborn, I must beat, are you sure it will work? Or when you beat, the child will say, this is more harsh. Let me go look for another environment. And indeed, once they get on the street, the environment becomes fairer. It may be harsh by our standard, but for them they have chose. They will go on the streets. They will survive. Within Pastor William, they survive.
Indeed.
They will survive the harsh way, they will be beaten, they will be here. After that's what they expect. They don't expect kicks at home. They don't expect being denied food at home. They don't expect to be chased out of the home and kept away. But on the street, they expect anything. They can be pierced, it's survival for the fittest. They can be denied, they will not find food, and it's that's street.
And they even trained and briefed on what the expectations.
So, but at your home, they expect peace. They expect guidance. They expect you to be available, not to come very late drunk and you're abusing every person in the house. They don't expect that. Fathers, they expect you to talk to them. They want, yesterday I was talking to one of the girls who's now at campus. The father left them and went to Busia. That's why he stays at the moment. He doesn't know how the children eat, how the mother pays for house rent. He doesn't know what they are going through. And the girl said, I hate my father. I had to draw her, a picture. I said, with or without your father, God already has a plan for you. I referred her to Psalms 139 and even gave her Psalms 139 verse 16. I said, God has a clear plan for you. He has numbered your days. Even before you were formed in your mother's womb, He knew that was the child. But why should you, the father, reach that point where the child says, I hate my father? And she cried in my office. She's doing pain. But the father doesn't know. He's just enjoying life in Busia with another woman.
Unfortunately.
Let us repent as parents. The mothers, we are in saloon and then we are happening in our groups. The girls' groups. We go. From Monday to Friday, you're working. Saturday, very early in the morning, the program says, go and work on your hair, your lipstick, your nails, what? To go and meet up with your girlfriends. But you have very young children at home. They are not in boarding. They need you. You leave the children
with the maid.
What would the maid
Some don't even have maids. They leave them at the neighborhood.
What would they learn? So parents, let's get back to our values. We are what we are because our parents were around. If my mother wasn't around, I don't think I would be here. I don't know. God has a plan for each one of us. But I don't know. Maybe it would have been more harder. But because she was around and guided me and taught me what I should do, what life is about, I think I'm what I am because she was available. So I call upon all parents to take up their roles. I know government has taken us, has developed parenting guidelines. It is developing a family policy. Is stopping, it has a policy on child labor. Government is trying, but government is not going to come to your individual home and guide you. Choose what you want and guide your child in that way.
So, lastly, is there any intervention by, for example, KCCA, especially in addressing some of the challenges of these children, the street children?
Yes, we usually rescue.
Okay.
That's what we do. Because, again, we would love to have children in Kampala that don't have their unaccompanied children. And we take them to those good schools and maybe they go through. I know of some few organizations that do that. But our policy does not encourage institutionalization of children. Why? Because we are Africans, we are Ugandans, we value our families. Besides, when children grow up in a family, then they will have a sense of belonging to a certain family, a certain community, and therefore belong to Uganda. And you'll be called a Ugandan because there's somewhere you came from.
Yes.
But when you grow up in an institution, then it will be known that you're an institutional child.
Yes.
And how do institutional childs behave? They behave the way they want.
Yes.
Because they pick those values from those institutions.
Yes.
And they can choose to do what they want because they are not accountable to anyone. Because when the institution brings them up, then they grow up, they are equipped, and then they go to the world of work. And they will do anything.
Yeah.
But when you grow up in a family and grow and you have a responsibility, then there are people you grew up with that you think you should be accountable
Mm.
to.
Mm.
So our Uganda is still valuing that children should grow in a family setting, in a community setting. So that's why Kampala Capital City Authority rescues and also prevents people from giving anything that will keep the children on the street. So we rescue, that's the biggest we have, to rescue and take them back to where they come from. Whether Mbarara, whether it's Solo, wherever. We have moved up to Rwanda and Congo. After COVID, some children were taken to Congo. It was not very easy, but we went. So we rescue to ensure that children go back to their homes and grow from there. The second, of course, we work with the partners to support us in rehabilitation and also follow up. Because as government, we don't have a lot of money to especially hire social workers, health officers, and also to trace where the children are coming from. So work with partners to help us in that, especially after the rescue. Sometimes when you rescue a child from the street, a lot is happening.
Yeah.
So we need to first take them to a transit center, which can hold them for a maximum of 6 months as they trace where they come from, and then take them back home. So that is the biggest. But also we are working with health centers. We talked about children with disabilities.
Yes.
Treating children with disabilities is not a cheap venture, but as government, we have hospitals, we have health centers. So when you see these mothers who have children with such illnesses, it's not that they don't know where to go. If they are mentally ill, such children can go to Mutabika. If it is these disabled related challenges, they go to Mulago. There are all kinds of departments. There's the orthopedic department, there are surgeons. They can help us correct those challenges. But defects, of course, there are surgeries. Many times are very expensive. So we also again work with partners to rescue. Now those that you see coming on the street and repeatedly using children, we have rescued, we have committed them to police, but they are used to that. They are using children to beg. So sometimes it's not easy, but we are still trying.
Okay.
When you take the child to, when you rescue the child, you find that sometimes they need to be with their mother. That is if they are being used by their mother. Yeah. And so the mother, you cannot take the child who is sick to Luzira, for example, the mother. So you have to look for where to take them. That's how they survive and come back on the street. But we are not seated. We as government of Uganda has a fund, the social assistance grant for the people with disability. They encourage parents of children with disability to get in a group, to begin ventures, so that the money they get from there can be used to look after those children. Because many times the mothers are alone. After producing such children, they are abandoned by their husbands. So government of Uganda has developed a grant to support such people. Okay. So we are not seated, and as KCCA we are trying.
Indeed, we can see that you're trying. Of course, because of time, we cannot go beyond this point. But thank you so much, Ms. Shins, for these efforts. These selfless efforts, especially to improve the well-being of the children, the desperate children out there that are victims of circumstance. And to your viewer, thank you so much for watching us from where we started from up to now. I've worked with Didmas and Brinko, and from the entire team, we wish you a blessed morning.